Yes, of course.
Hello, everyone in the 5 continents, and welcome to another edition of our International English Online meetings. This morning, we have a very good friend of ours and a good professional, a wonderful woman. Welcome, dear Mary Scholl.
Thank you so much, Jaime.
Thank you, dear Mary, for always accepting our invitations. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, but you always try to do your best. So thank you very much for that, dear Mary. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen, if you allow me. Okay, here it is. So today is, we have our, is it recording? Yes, it is, right? No.
Yeah. I'm recording on my computer. I'm not sure
No,
if you
but I'm
started
not.
recording.
Let me see if I am. Let me see if I am not recording. Just a minute, please. If not, we have to start again.
Looks like it's recording. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, it is.
But it could, but if either way, Jaime, if it's recording on my computer, I will share it with you as well.
Yeah, okay.
You can press record on yours as well.
Yeah, yeah, it is recording. Okay, once again, thank you for being here, everyone in the 5 continents. Let me share my screen as usual to present this morning work today. Okay, here it is. Today is April 20th, and we celebrate Easter Sunday everywhere in the world. And today is our 130th International English Online meeting. 5 years on air, dear Mary. 5 years.
Oh.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Wow.
Well, if you want to watch any of our past meetings, you can watch them in our YouTube channel. Who are our upcoming guest speakers in 2025? Well, in May, we have teachers from Panama, TESOL. In June, we have James Swizzler from Australia, a good friend I met last year in Colombia. Then in June, we have this wonderful group of professors from Ecuador. They belong to EcuaTESOL. Then in July, the month of my birthday, when I celebrate my 62nd birthday. Unbelievable. So they belong to ELTA TESOL. Then in August, we have these wonderful ladies, Karina, Paola, and Isela from Bolivia. They belong to Beta TESOL. Then in September, we have Puerto Rico TESOL professors Evelyn Lugo and Princess Kimberly. Then from Argentina, Marcela Burgos in October. Then there are two associations missing here. They haven't confirmed their participations yet. And in December, we have the ASOCOPI professors Kathy, Adriana, and Claudia Maria from ASOCOPI Colombia. Who is presenting today? Our good friend, Mary Scholl. Dawn Wynn, I asked her to say something to you.
Hello, dear Mary. Just a little moment to recognize the gift that you are to the world, to honor the phenomenal work that you're doing with educators, with human beings in so many multiple ways of depth, of education, of connection, of humanity, of wisdom. And so a moment to honor and to recognize the incredible blessing that you are to the world and the phenomenal work that you're doing. Love you. Mwah.
Thank you, dear Dawn. And also a good friend of ours, also Ivan.
There are some people who quietly inspire and transform lives with presence, with love, with deep care and connection. Mary Scholl is one of those people. Her work has not only shaped me as an educator, but as a human being. With Mary, for instance, I have learned that teaching isn't just about lesson planning, curriculum, resources, tech tools, artificial intelligence, and more. It's about connection. It's about co-creating safe spaces, co-creating the conditions for learning to happen. And that co-creation is with students and what is around in the classroom. I have been working with Mary for the last 7 years. And one thing that I have noticed is that everyone, educators, leaders, students, community members, staff, everyone sees in Mary a guide, hope, a listener, a believer, a light in the world. Mary has impacted many different students and teachers, many communities, different countries, different regions, and the whole world. Thank you so much, Mary, for being the light on the path of many of us. Thank you for bringing empathy as a teaching tool and for sharing your love and care for genuine understanding of connection between teachers and students. Thank you so much, Mayor, for being the light.
Thank you, dear Ivan. I wanted to do this, Mary, because I'm a believer. I think that we should tell people what they deserve now, when we are alive, not when we pass away. So I hope you like these two comments, and we all agree with that. So now it's your turn, dear Mary. The screen is all yours.
Okay. Well, you made me cry.
That was the purpose. That means that we are humans, right?
Yes, we are.
I always remember that word of yours during the pandemic. We are vulnerable, and that's great. If we weren't vulnerable, no, we wouldn't be human beings, right?
Right.
So I hope you really like it. I want to cry too. So everyone, let's cry.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel very seen and I feel very appreciated.
You
And
deserve
loved.
it, dear Mary.
Very loved. So thank you both. I'm Don, Ivan, Jaime, and Raj, and everybody. Thank you all. And Dila, it's nice to have you here with us. Nice to see you, Irma, and then all of our people who are.
Yeah, Dila, let me give you a hand. Dila, Ana Virginia, Carolina Mixi, Luis Isalema, Alba Vascones, Don Wynn, Alexandra Alba, Sarah, María José, Esperanza Villegas, Jori, Rosana María, Elilberto Martínez, Guillermo Soledad, Paulina Saldarriaga, my goodness, Jenny Chavez, Muhammad from Pakistan, Santiago, and of course, Mary.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then I'm just quickly looking at the Facebook page, and we have 7 or 8 people with us on Facebook too, which is great. So welcome to all of you. And I can tell that Monica and Paco is with us from Mexico, and Monique and
Órale, Paco.
Órale, Paco. Nice to see your good morning there. Oh, I'm so grateful to be here with all of us today. All of you. I'm gonna say all of us. And I think that this came up because I put a little thing on social media or LinkedIn or something that I'm taking a course. I'm on a certification program for something called the critical response process. And so then Jaime said, will you give a session? I was like, sure. And will you do it in April? I said, sure. I had forgotten that I was going to be in Turkey. So in Turkey. So this is where I am right now. That's a photo of where I was for the last week. That I watched that volcano. I looked at that volcano for the last week. It's in a city in Turkey called Kayseri, and it's Mount Erigais. I don't think I have the right pronunciation, but it was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. So I'm excited to share this with you. And I'm also excited because I was in class yesterday and I realized that I could use this session today as part of my classwork. So thank you for coming so that I could do a class assignment, which is to give a session, an introductory session on the critical response process. I'm super excited. And I don't know if one of the mentors will be showing up or not. It was a little bit last minute for them, but I'm recording this and I want you all to know that this is being recorded. I know Jaime always records it, and we know that, but it's also being recorded so that I can use it as an assignment and show my experience and work in this area. So thank you all so much. And of course, if you'd like to turn your camera off and be off camera, you certainly can. And if you feel comfortable turning on your camera, it's always really wonderful to see your faces. Because yeah, it's just wonderful. So I'm going to share with you, let's see, this is the Facebook screen. There we got a nice hello from Paco and Ara. Hello, Ara. Nice to see you on Facebook too. The power of critical response process in teaching and learning, also known as inquiry-oriented dialogue for meaningful, empowering feedback conversations. Would you like to learn about it? Would you all like to learn about this?
Of course.
You showed up, so that's great. That's exciting. Hold on, let me organize my screen for a minute so I can see you all. Okay. So I'm still sniffling. That was a very heartwarming introduction. Oh, it was so sweet. Thank you. So before we dive in, I'd like to do a co-regulation activity. How many of you have heard about co-regulation?
I haven't.
Okay. Have you heard about self-regulation, where we do activities to calm our nervous system and ground?
Yeah.
So this is where in co-regulation, we are doing sort of self-regulation. We're supporting each other in our regulation. And I'm just going to give a brief intro to it because I think it's something all teachers could be using in their classes. It'd be really useful. There's two roles, the leader and the mirrors. And today I'll be the leader and you all will mirror me. And we're going to do a little task, and then where we're going to move and breathe together. And then we'll just ask, what did you notice when we did that? And we're actually not going to switch roles today. But the leader, my job is going to be, I'm going to be exploring my own breathing and rhythm as I move. And your task is to match me. But if you feel like, if for some reason if your camera's on and you're looking at me and you feel like giving me a smile, that's nice. That's a supportive thing for me. And also just to be present in a way that feels good to you. So I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other better. And in this co-regulation activity, it only works if it's good for everybody. So if you're not feeling good, you can just stop. You don't have to do it. Just wait. It's not going to be too long. But I trust that you'll take care of yourself in this activity. All right. And hello, dear Laura. Nice to see you. So this is the activity. First of all, we're just going to please sit in a way that feels comfortable to you. And I have both my feet on the floor. And this is called breath wings. I'm going to put my hands on my shoulder and I'm going to bring my elbows sort of in. And then I'm going to inhale, open. And exhale, close. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. And so if you could mirror me, and I'm going to go slowly. You can actually have a more peaceful energy. So I'm just going to do it slowly. And I'm going to stop talking. And I'm going to do it about 6 times. And so let's see how it feels to you. You. It makes me kind of want to wiggle too now and twist. So the question now is just, what did you notice? And maybe we'll have space for a few voices. So what did you notice in doing that? And I'm going to share first. I noticed that I lost track of my counting. And that was interesting. But then when I lost track, I also was noticing more. I really enjoyed the curling in. I could feel my back stretching, and I felt like I really needed that stretch. And that felt good. How about 2 or 3 other people? What did you notice? Feel free to write in the chat if you'd like to write in the chat, or we could have a couple voices too. It'd be nice to hear some voices.
Can I share, Mary?
Sure, Dila. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, it's morning, right? So it felt so nice to stretch. A nice feeling of like muscles opening up. And also I saw a spider web on my ceiling. And for some reason, I started thinking that I'm so grateful for being here today in the morning. It's just the sense of gratitude right away hit me. So yeah, thank you. That's how I feel.
Oh, thanks, Dila. Just to share, Dila is from Tajikistan and she lives in Canada now. And she's on our facilitation team at the Institute for Collaborative Learning. Lara wrote that it felt fantastic. Good to feel a delightful crickle crackle in your back as it stretched. Yeah, me too. Nice. Irma, how about you?
Oh, well, first of all, I couldn't mirror you exactly because I have to hold my phone with one hand. So I did half of a mirror. But the sense of being in peace and relaxed beside very important. So thank you.
Thank you for making adaptations that work for you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. We're teachers. We have to adapt, correct?
Right? Exactly. So thank you so much. And thank you for the comments in the chat. That was called Breath Wings, and it's a co-regulation activity. And I got it from this website, wecoregulate.com. If you'd like to learn more about co-regulation, I highly recommend it. It's a great place to understand it. And they have many different exercises, and they have videos of people doing the exercises and explaining them. And yeah, it's really beautiful. Okay, now we're going to dive into more of our content. And I have 2 opening slides to share with you all. The first one is the foundations. So these are, I originally titled this My Understandings, but then I thought, no, they're foundations to witness and wonder. And there are 3 points that I would love to, these are underlying everything that I'm sharing with you, and that are really important to understand and buy into, really, for the critical response process. And first of all, we are all works in progress. We're always learning, we're always becoming. And when I teach, my teaching is also a work in progress. Critical response process is for people, artists, teachers, people who create something. It could be anything. It could be a cook, but it's a work in progress. It's not a final. This is not feedback on a final product. This is feedback so that we can continue to learn and grow. We co-create the space that fosters learning, empowerment, and transformation. So this session today is not Mary just giving a session. Together, we co-create it. And so I thank you for showing up to co-create with me. And the way we show up shapes the quality of our shared experience. And so the next slide I have are some invitations or requests for today in how we're showing up. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to show up with presence and curiosity. Recognize and honor everyone's worth here, everyone's voice, everyone's thoughts, everyone's hearts. To make space for others to be seen, so we can learn from each other. And to speak from a place of inquiry, not conclusion. Like to speak from a place of curiosity. It's a really curiosity is perhaps one of the largest energies that I think that we have around the community, the critical response process. And it's everybody's curiosity. And that is quite different than the traditional like feedback dialogues that I experienced in traditional education. So I guess first of all, let me just check in on those these two slides really, the foundations to witness and wonder, and the request for today. Does anybody have a comment or a question about any of those that you'd like to share? And I see Laura, thank you for writing that the co-creation is fundamental in the feedback and learning process. And that you appreciate that. You love that you give this critical topic focus and light. Thanks, Laura. Laura. I want to call you both.
Mary, I love the language when you say invitations of request. It actually has the language of request. Would you be willing to? Not you will do, or we would like you to do. It's would you be willing to? It's inviting people into the space and then offering some suggestions. That's beautiful.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I learned so much of that with you. Oh, okay. So I am going to share a few GIFs. I don't know how to say that. And I'm curious if any of these little images, these short little videos, remind you of your feedback conversation experiences. So I'm just going to show them to you. The first one. Has feedback for you ever been like that? That you're riding a big wave and you feel like you had a big wipeout?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Can you relate to that? Oh man. I can
When we were much younger.
Right.
The first class observations.
Uh-huh. Right. And then how about number 2? Did feedback ever feel like it was a slap on the face?
Yeah, also as well.
Did feedback ever feel like you were climbing a mountain with somebody else? You were working together and climbing the mountain? I like that one. And number 4. Did feedback ever feel like you're actually blossoming? That you
much more rare than the other 3.
Yeah.
But dear Raj and Mary, that does happen in Costa Rica, in Il Invu. I always remember when I learned a different way of class observation from the human side. And when you said class observation is a gift. If you want, open it and enjoy it.
Thanks, Jaime. That was how many years ago did you come? What year did you come?
Oh, my goodness. 2012, 2013.
Wow, that's great. Wow. I think that's around the time I was starting to learn about the critical response process, actually.
Oh,
too.
great.
So I have to remember that. Let me share with you 2 images from my aspirational images for feedback conversations. This is the first one. Similar to the tulips. Oh, hey, Darcy, nice to see you here. There's a few comments here. Yeah, nice. So I love the idea of not only the tulips, but many flowers, and I love these daffodils, many flowers opening and blossoming in their own time, in their own way. And I also love this feeling of balloons flying. And this is actually from a place here in Turkey. I didn't get to go there, but it was fun to see that. And at the end of a feedback conversation, I want to feel like all of us are blooming. I would love to fly out there like a balloon, all these colorful balloons, getting ready to go back into the classroom and getting excited to teach again. Now that to me is my aspiration in having a feedback conversation with people. So I'd like to take a minute and think a little bit about your experiences of feedback. So some memorable feedback conversations you've had. When was a time that feedback led you to a positive change and the conversation was positive? When was a time that feedback wasn't so effective for you? And how have these two experiences shaped your understanding of how feedback can support or hinder your growth? And I think what we'll do, because we have people watching on Facebook and we have people here with us, I think we'll take just a minute of solitude. I'll put some music on and just take a minute to jot down some ideas. If you'd like to write in the chat or if you'd like to write in the Facebook chat, feel free. You could answer any of the three questions or all of the three questions. But we'll take a minute of silence. We'll have no talking. And I'm going to put some music on in the background. I'm going to have to share my screen for a minute. Let me just together, and I'd love to hear a few voices or see a few voices. Please feel free to write in the chat, either on Facebook or here if you're in our Zoom room. And I'm especially curious about the third question, to be honest with you, but happy to hear answers to any of the questions.
The first or the third?
The third is the one I'm most interested in, but sometimes it's helpful to talk about the others. So, yeah.
I'd like to say something very quick, Mary. I've because of what I learned in your institute in Costa Rica, when I presented workshops about class observation in Ecuador, in Mexico, and other places, I guess this is one of the most difficult parts of human beings, because you have another human being observing your class, knowing that he or she will be taking note of every single mistake you make. But when I was in your institute, I learned that it's a human being observing another human being. So both of them are learning. So I guess that is something that really shaped my understanding that how feedback can support you. No one is superior, no one is better than you, but we are different. So that's the way I think authorities and directors and coordinators should observe their colleagues, a human learning from another human being.
Thank you, Jaime.
I don't know, anybody else, please? Sorry, I just wanted to say something.
Great.
Please, anybody who wants to.
Hello. I
Hello,
would like
dear
to.
Darce.
Hi, I'm sorry I cannot put my camera on, but
Don't
I would
worry.
like to share about question number 3. Well, in the perspective of my students, for example, I have noticed that whenever we have this type of feedback that is humane, students stop apologizing. They stop saying, I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me, whenever they make a mistake. It's been powerful. So whenever time goes by, they become like unaware, or maybe not unaware, but whenever they make mistakes, it becomes part of the learning process. It's just something that it's part of it. And in terms of me as a teacher, I get to learn more from them because they feel so open to tell me what worked for them and what didn't work for them. So it's like I start implementing their ideas, like new ideas. So it's been really enriching in terms of me as a teacher because I grow from them. I really grow from what they reflect, that it works for them. And it works for them because they feel so comfortable, so calm in the lessons, and they stop apologizing. So that's what I have noticed.
Darcy, thanks. That's a really beautiful sort of measure of what's happening, because many times we do apologize. I'm sorry, or just tell me what I did wrong and I'll fix it. There's that, I can feel the tension in me when I say that. And when we can create and co-create an environment where people don't feel the need to apologize, but can really just share from their heart about their own experiences, then we can really learn. Yeah. So thank you. Dawn?
Yes, well, Mary, my both of my experiences that have shaped my understandings of feedback, of course, intimately involve you. And I had the exact same experience in uh, before you and my connecting. I had one experience where it taught me everything not to do with feedback, because that, and I was on the receiving end, and it involved shame and just a lot of shaming, just so much shaming is the primary word that comes to me. And then I had literally the exact same experience with you. And it was about encouragement and building on strengths and human connection and love. And so I feel incredibly blessed because I had literally mirror images that have forever sculpted my understandings of how to give, hopefully how to give and how to receive feedback. And that was you, dear Mary.
What an honor. What an honor.
True.
And that was a long time ago too now, Dawn.
It was. It was. It was 2011, 2010, 2011. Yeah.
That's so interesting. It's interesting just to hear that now in terms of the program that I'm in, the certification program for the critical response process, is filled with experienced practitioners. And so that is sort of, hearing that makes me feel this affirmation around, oh, I'm an experienced practitioner, I guess. Okay. I know I am, but sometimes being that, having that memory or that reminder is sweet. Let me just address a couple of comments in the chat. Carola said that when COVID came, it was the best feedback you had received because it made you change your whole way of teaching others. That is fascinating. And Lara writes, some of the unnecessarily harsh feedback you received over the years has led you to be careful about the language you use and what you're focusing on in feedback. And you do a lot of feedback work, Laura. I know that's a big part of your work. We can collaborate on shared teaching values, but I can also share your experience and knowledge in ways that encourage your stories that lead to wonderful connections. I love it. That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you. And Rosanna asks a question: when an observer does his task? Does he evaluate in the same way a new or experienced teacher? We know, Rosanna, I'm not sure what the context is that you're in, but in critical response process, there is not a distinction between new or experienced in terms of how we go about the process. I can't wait to share it with you. So I'm going to move forward. But also Dila wrote a beautiful comment too. And you found that basically that it depends on how it's delivered. When it's sandwiched between positive comments, the critical part often stands out the most. And that's what you tend to focus on. However, I've also discovered that when I'm not given direct feedback, but instead encouraged to reflect on my own experience, analyze what worked and didn't in my teaching, I often gain deeper insights and experience more meaningful growth, right? When it comes from me, it's so much more powerful, I think, yeah. Both cases, the opportunity to critically engage with practice is key. Beautiful. Thank you, Dila. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for that.
Just one, Mary, if I might just add one thing. I think feedback, the word in itself sometimes is triggering for people. You know, can I see you after the session?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Right. That immediately.
Why do you want to see me?
That's right. I want to give you some feedback. That in itself can be triggering for people. So helping someone feel at ease before you say anything and connect at a human level is the essence of how I'm then prepared to receive what you're offering me. And just that really is helpful, I think.
Just something, dear Raj and Mary. I was reading Rosana Ceballos' question. She's from Piura. Hello, Roxana. And I guess what she means is because of our Peruvian culture. I don't know if it happens in other countries, but if I'm going to observe your class, Mary, and I know that you are a very experienced teacher, and I'm just a new one, I won't evaluate you. I won't observe you as if I were observing Raj, who is a new teacher. So then I feel much more comfortable. So I guess that is another issue when we are observing or we are going to be observed. Who is going to observe me? Somebody who has less experience than me? So I guess that is another issue. So thank you, Roxana, for that comment.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Emotional safety. Emotional safety.
Right, right.
Exactly. And thank you for expanding on that, Jaime. And thank you, Rosanna, for the question. In the critical response process that I'm going to get, it was developed by a choreographer named Liz Lerman. I'm going to get into it in just a little bit. But one of the things that directly speaks to this question is that she wanted to, I'm going to use the verb horizontalize the power structures. Instead of having a power structure that goes up and down, it's vertical. It's very horizontal. The idea is that we value everyone's experience, everyone's voice. And so even if I'm completely new to, so we had a 4-day face-to-face session a month ago, 2 months ago. And I'm not an experienced dancer. I'm not an experienced artist, but I was involved in conversations with people where I was sharing my experience in this process. And my voice was as valuable as the people who have been there for, I mean, obviously we can comment on things in different kinds of ways, but the idea is to co-create a situation or an environment where everyone's voice is of value. And one of my strongest memories of a particular T-cell certificate course we had many years ago, where I had a 17-year-old participant, and then I had probably a 40-year-old participant who was a manager, academic manager at a school. And his first question was, well, what do I have to learn from a 17-year-old? Why is this 17-year-old here?
Yeah.
And at the end of the month, he was amazed that 17-year-old was her experience. He watched her grow as a teacher. She was a phenomenal teacher at 17. And he really shifted. He was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that assumption, but I know why I made it. But I think if we shift our attitude and we start to think about every interaction is an opportunity to learn. Everybody has something valuable to offer. If we're in the context, if we have the conditions that we can offer it. So let's go on to just a few questions. And these questions really highlight the kind of experience we're trying to co-create with the critical response process. So in your memorable experience, did you feel safe, seen, heard, valued, and respected? Did curiosity play a significant role in interaction? Did the feedback feel like something being done with you or something done to you? Did you get the sense that the person or people you were with were also learning? They were in that meaning-making process? And did you feel empowered to accept, question, or reject the feedback? Did you have a sense of agency in your own learning? And so these are the questions that this is sort of my little checklist of questions of, it's just a checklist of questions I'm thinking about, like, of what, if I can get those balloons to rise together or all those flowers to bloom, these are some of the conditions that we need to be answering yes to these questions. Okay. So I want to share a story. I think some of you here have heard this story. It's something that I experienced my very first year of teaching in 1989. You had asked me earlier, Jaime, when I started teaching, 1989.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
It was my third week of teaching Spanish to 300 kids a day. For my first 2 years of teaching, I taught 300 children every day, 4 days a week, and I had 1 day to do prep work with a team of other Spanish teachers. And I was teaching kindergarten through 6th grade. Kindergarten had 15 minutes. First, second, third had 20 minutes. And 4th, 5th, and 6th each had 30 minutes every day. It was a really cool program. I was not trained to be a teacher. I studied public policy analysis. I was totally new to teaching. And after one of the classes, it's sort of the third week, one of the kindergarten teachers named Ms. Jones handed me this note. And she said, these are the names you didn't call today, and you should have them do more than stand up and sit down. And she left. I was devastated. I was so devastated. I went to the bathroom and I just cried. I mean, I had 300 children a day. How long is it going to take you to learn 300 words, especially if you have 300 words, 300 vocabulary words, 300 names, or, how to learn, learning to teach and learning names. And so I think I get it too. I was probably just saying stand up and sit down, and then, in pairs and groups, and I don't know. But I was devastated, and it didn't. By the way, this is actually a photo of me teaching. This was actually 1990. I couldn't find one from when I was at elementary school, but that's me sitting in a circle with some kids. Those are actually 2nd graders, I think. So when I think about those questions, I was so devastated. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel seen, heard, or respected. There was no curiosity. None of this, like, Mary, how are you doing? How's class going? What's it like to learn how to teach and to learn 300 names? There's no curiosity there. And I felt like it was totally being done to me, not with me. I felt extremely alone, and I don't think she was learning at all. And I did not feel empowered. There's nothing I could say to her. I mean, I was upset, and I didn't have any of the tools that I have now in terms of these feedback tools, compassionate communication. I had some beautiful foundations, but I didn't have a lot of tools that I have now. So I also didn't have the tools to turn it into a more positive experience. So her intention was to help me, but the impact was devastating. I didn't talk to her the rest of the year. I avoided her as much as possible. I did actually learn students' names, and I did learn to have them do more than stand up and sit down. But I didn't do it in a way that felt like I always felt unsafe when I was in her classroom. So I didn't have the skills at the time to create my own sense of agency. Learning and teaching and supervision were once understood, just the idea of transmitting knowledge, it is part of it. Transmitting knowledge is part of it. And it's still nowadays, I think a lot of people think about feedback conversations, and it's all about the observer telling somebody teacher something,
Yes.
right? That's very common. To deliver information, deliver my expertise, and that it's really one way from the expert to the learner, right? And I think everybody also understands that learning happens in a social environment through dynamic interactions that happen inside and between people, right? We co-create the learning space, and our roles as teachers or supervisors, observers, and learners are not fixed. They shift and they blend in a space of mutuality and reciprocity. Everybody is learning, right? Everybody is learning, because one of the biggies in our language learning field, Caleb Gattegno said, the student learns the language, the teacher learns the student, right? And then I would say that the supervisor learns the teacher, right? Or the observer is learning the teacher. And in this understanding of learning, the observer or the evaluator's role is to nurture the environment where learning can happen for the teacher. So in that feedback conversation, the teacher is the focus. In focus, that's the person that we want to support their learning. And Laura, I think you also said it beautifully. And it's what we're doing is participating in ways that support growth, invite reflection, and value shared exploration. And Dila, you also described, that's exactly what you described in what worked for you. So I want to share with you, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Eleanor Drago Severson's work. She is based at Columbia University at Teachers College, and she wrote a great book that I have on the next slide. Let me show you that in the next slide. It's called Tell Me So I Can Hear. And it's about, it's using a developmental approach to feedback for educators. And she's done a lot of work with Robert Keegan, who's at Harvard, who's a psychologist who studies how adults learn and how adults grow and how we grow through different stages. And so she, here she's basically saying, we need to offer feedback in a context that makes it easier to hear it, to listen, so we can interact with it. And she has this continuum in the book that I thought was really interesting and useful to consider. So the constructive feedback, which I think, Dila, you had mentioned, is sort of the sandwich, right? Something good, something hard, challenging, something good. The primary directionality is the giver to the receiver. It's still that's the motion, give to the it's unidirectional usually, and it's very technical. It's focused on performance. This is where you probably experience checklists. So I come into your classroom to observe your class. I have a checklist, and I'm going to go check. You did this, you did that. Check, check, check. Didn't do it. No check. And it's focused on performance. And this constructive feedback conversation is focused on the teacher changing their behavior in the classroom. And it's external. It's what I can see on the outside, right? Typically, right? That's sort of the typical constructive feedback conversation. Inquiry-oriented feedback conversations, the directionality is between the giver and the receiver, right? So I'm going to come to our conversation. We're both going to be sharing. We're both going to be talking. We're both going to be listening. And it's adaptive and exploratory. So where we have the checklist, did you do this? Check. Did you do that? Check. In this other one, we're going to look at, well, what happened? How was that for you? What do you think might have been going on? What do I think might have been going on? And it's exploration. And the primary goal is learning. So change might happen or might not happen, external checklist change. Learning, though, is the goal of what we're really, and it's all about internal meaning making. And Donald Freeman has this wonderful quote. I remember years ago, he gave a plenary on this. He said, teachers do what makes sense to them on some level. Right? Teachers do what makes sense to them on some level. And so in the feedback, that's which makes sense. We close the door, we go into the classroom, and we teach in the way that makes sense to us. And then when the supervisor comes in, all of a sudden we have a new lens of, okay, I'm going to teach in the way it makes sense to me, and I'm going to hopefully teach in a way that that person is going to like it. Right? And so the conversation for me, the relationship that I'm looking for, is to create a relationship where that my teacher doesn't think about, will Mary like this or not? I want the teacher to say, what are you exploring? What are you trying to figure out? What's the meaning making that you're trying to get at here? And then have that be the foundation. So this is an interesting sort of setup, I think, that brings us to, I'm going to skip this slide in the interest of time. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about it, though. Right now, what I'm really curious about are these two words, mutuality and reciprocity. Because actually, I'm going to tell you about this slide because I'm really interested in these. The mutuality, there are two key things I think that need to be present and active and alive in our conversations. So it's a shared presence that we're co-creating the space of trust, and it's relational connection. And reciprocity is where we listen to each other and we each offer something from our vault of experiences, feelings, needs, and knowledge. So, I might offer my expertise, and the new teacher might also offer their expertise. And that's where I think, Liz Lerman works on really creating this horizontal experience of the relationship. And in reciprocity, as if somebody comes in with more power, they're going to adapt to the person with less power's needs. Like if I'm watching the teacher and they have sort of less power, I am really striving to serve their needs, which means I'm not there to show what I know. I'm not there to use my power. I'm not there to fix it. I'm there to show up and serve their learning. And that creates the foundations of the critical response process. I first learned about the critical response process when I was working at a graduate school in Vermont called Marlborough. And our dean brought this in. He had gone to a workshop with her and he was excited about it and he shared it with us. And we got excited about it and we started using it. And that's sort of how I got introduced to it. Liz Lerman is a choreographer and phenomenal. You can look her up online if you want to see some of the amazing work that she's done. And she was tired. She started this process in 1990, so quite a long time ago. And she started it because she was frustrated that when either giving feedback, people would feel crushed and demotivated or disempowered, or if she was receiving feedback and she felt that way. That process didn't work for her. And she wanted a process that would lead us to feel like we really want to go back in and re-engage with our work and we get excited about it. And we know that the people that are giving us feedback are on our side. In one of her books, maybe a video I heard, she was talking about, her passion is dance and she grew up dancing. She grew up getting a lot of feedback and she said she understood growing up that she was just wrong. Like that was it. She was wrong. And so that's pretty much what feedback was. It was about telling you when you're wrong and how to fix it. And she had an experience of somebody, a famous person, giving her a fix-it in one of the dances she created. And they fixed it and it was a beautiful fix. It worked really, really well. And she got lots of great feedback on it. But it wasn't her feedback. It wasn't for her. It was for the person who did the fix-it. And so it's interesting, and Dila, you mentioned that in your comment too, that idea of when we engage in a way that people, the teacher, the creator, can really come from inside of themselves. It's a very different experience, and it's so much more empowering because they own it. So, yeah, you can go to her website to find out more about her. She's got a couple of great books. And this photo here was taken a couple months ago in our face-to-face session. And it was really exciting to have. So Liz is the woman in the black sweater here. And then we have these two facilitators on our course. And then the other people are people who are taking the course with us. So it's kind of fun to include that photo, a real life photo from now too. There are three core roles in the critical response process. The creator, which could be the teacher or the artist, but the person who taught the class, the person who created the art. So in this paradigm, The teacher is like the creator of the art, and the art is the class that we've created. When we watch our students learn, and we create these experiences for our students so that they might learn, that's our art, that's our work. The responder is the person or the people who experience the creation. So I could be using this with my students in class, and I could have them give me feedback about it. I could also be using this with somebody who came in to observe my class, and then they're giving me feedback, and we're working about it too. And these are people that are willing to engage in this kind of conversation. And then the facilitator is the person who's guiding the conversation. There are yeah, I think I'm going to go through. I talked a little bit about those. We'll skip there. There are 4 basic steps here. What we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the steps, and then we're going to have a little mini experience. And I have a guest teacher here today who's going to teach us a little bit. And we're going to actually go through the critical response process with him. So there's 4 main steps. The first step is the meaning focus step, where everybody shares what was meaningful to them. The second step, the teacher asks the observers or the participants questions that they're curious about. So the teacher asks the questions. The third step, the participants or the observers ask the teacher questions about their experience teaching the class. But they need to be neutral questions. They can't have an agenda in them. They have to be genuinely curious. And the final step, the fourth step, is permissioned opinions and suggestions. And that is if there's something that you really want to share that hasn't been shared and that you think fits in the line of what the teacher's curiosities are. You can offer the opportunity to give the opinion, but the teacher has to say yes. That's where the permission comes in. If the teacher wants to hear their opinion, then you share it. And if they don't, then you don't. And this fourth step for in the traditional world of like doing teacher observations and writing feedback, it's so hard for supervisors to not offer their opinions like in general. It's like, that's my job. I'm here. I'm supposed to be giving an opinion. And what this process has been teaching me over the last 10 years or so, 12 years, is around how to show up for somebody without depending on my opinions, but how to really be in the experience with them and share myself through this process. And so if I say, hey, I have an opinion about how you give instruction, about the instructions, would you like to hear it? And you say no, great. And if you say yes, great. And to me, it's a sign of a good relationship when we're both comfortable saying and receiving no. So that, I'm just going to tell you about those steps quickly, and then I'd like us to experience it. So let's see. Yeah, so I think, Yvonne, are you ready to become a teacher?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I want to invite everybody here to experiment. I've asked Yvonne to come in, and Yvonne has been teaching mindfulness for the last few years now. And so I asked him to teach us, do a little 5-minute mindfulness session, and then we will engage in feedback. And I'll be the facilitator and walk us through the steps. So.
All right.
All right. And I think, Yvonne, you have
I can share the screen when I need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to share the screen?
I will share the screen.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll pass it off to you.
All right. So hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's good to see your faces. I see 6 faces, and I read 30-something names. It's great. It's great to see Laura's face too. Now, if you can open your camera, that would be great. If not, I totally understand it. It's great. So next, we're gonna do 2 practices together, 2 mindfulness practice. And I'm guessing, just because of sake of time, that we understand and we have a general idea what mindfulness is. Just bringing presence, just being in the present moment and in the right now, in the now, without judging what is. So there are some practices we do as educators, I do as a teacher, as a facilitator, to bring presence. So I'll do 2 practices and then process a little bit, and then we'll go into the CRP process. All right, so the first practice is a breathing exercise. I would like to invite you to find a relaxed, comfortable position. Can you please try to keep your back upright? Not too tight, not too tense, just relax. And your hands resting wherever they're comfortable, on your lap, on your side, on your chair. Please notice and relax your body. Try to notice the shape of your body, its weight. Let yourself relax and become curious about your body seated there. All the sensations it experiences. The connection with the floor or the chair. And if you notice any area of tension, please try to relax any area of tension and breathe. Tune into your breath. Feeling the natural flow of breath. Breathe in and breathe out. You don't need to do anything to change your breath. Not long, not short, just natural. Try to notice where you feel your breath in your body. It might be deep in your abdomen. It might be in your chest. Or your throat. Or it might be in your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations of breath. One breath at a time. Now, as you do this, you might notice that your mind might start wander. You might start thinking about other things. You might get distracted by things around you. That's very natural. Just notice what's in your mind, what's around, and then gently redirect your attention right back to the breathing, to the now, without judging what is. Notice your breath in silence. And from time to time, you might get lost in thoughts. Then kindly return to your breath. We are here in the now. We're present. I am present. And after a few seconds, Let yourself relax even more deeply. And then offer yourself some appreciation. Thank you, Ivan. Appreciation for doing this practice today with us. And please come back to the screen whenever you're ready. And if your eyes were closed, you might open your eyes too. Thank you. That was the first practice, the first mindfulness practice. And then after I feel that I'm here, I'm present, I'm really present, I'm ready for teaching, for learning with students, I will invite you to do another practice, and then we'll do some process of the two practices. And if you're watching this on Facebook, you're also invited to do this practice. And if you're watching the recording, you can also do this practice so we can process and then participate in a CRP process with Mary. Let me share my screen first, so to guide you to the second mindfulness practice. In the second mindfulness practice, we're using our senses. So if I'm present, I can do something with my senses. When I'm not present, I cannot use my senses because I'm distracted by noise, by internal noise at outside. So first, I would like to bring the first sense of vision. So I'm inviting you to just look around the room where you are and identify 5 things that you can see. And maybe these are things that you haven't noticed before. I see my 2 dogs on one side. One is on one side, and the other one is on the other side. That's interesting. I haven't seen them. They're with me. Notice it's cloudy. What are 5 things you can see? If you can see them, it's because you're present. And I'm inviting you to move to the next sense. What are 4 things you can touch? And maybe you can touch, the surface of something. Your desk, I have a mug with me. I can touch the surface. It's cold. I'm drinking a cold drink. Maybe your shirt, your chair. I can touch my keyboard. I can feel the sensation of the surface when I touch the keyboard. What are 4 things you can touch right now? If you can touch them, it's because you're present. We are present. We are here in the now. And again, at any time you feel you're distracted by thoughts, by noise, just kindly invite yourself to come back to here, to this mindfulness practice. We are here. With tenderness and love and kindness, bring yourself back. We are here. And the next sense is the hearing. What are 3 things you can hear? Notice all these background sounds you have around you. I can hear birds chirping. I can hear a car passing at a distance. Maybe you can rub your hands also, and you can hear the sounds of your hands rubbing. I can hear that. And if I can hear the sounds, it's because I'm present. And then let's move into the next sense. What are 2 things you can smell? And if you're drinking tea or coffee or milk or juice, you can smell, and no judgment, just notice the smell. And I can smell because I am present. I am here. You can maybe your smell, your hands, two things you can smell. And check with yourself. And if you're not here present, just kindly bring yourself to here, to the now, to the screen. And the last question, the last sense of the practice is, it's one emotion you can feel. What is one feeling or emotion you're experiencing right now? No judging the emotion. It might be a pleasant or unpleasant emotion. We're welcoming and noticing what is without judging, without changing or adjusting. We're just noticing. And if I notice, it's because I am here in the now. I am present. Thank you for doing this practice together and inviting all the senses to be here present with us. I have one question from Mary. Do I have chance to do? No. Okay. I stopped sharing.
I think maybe just one question about how the experience was, just one brief question.
How was that for you? Maybe, yeah, one of the three questions I had for the process. How was that experience for you, the two practices? Maybe you can write in the chat, or maybe one or two participants can share their experiences.
I guess we all feel relaxed, in peace, and you made us notice things that we usually don't pay attention to when we are focused on something or somebody, but then we realize that, oh, I hadn't noticed that. And that's the way I guess we are living now. Maybe we do not pay attention to so many things that are around us, and so many people who are also around us. Maybe we are just judging and not being genuine human beings with genuine curiosity. So thank you so much for that beautiful moment, dear Ivan. I don't know if somebody else has something else to say. Just open up your microphone.
Yvonne, thank you for that. I think it's so beautiful to invite ourselves to connect with our senses, because we're so much in the head a lot of the times. An invitation to be in the body, in our senses, something very grounding about that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Anyone else?
Yvonne, Jaime, I'm going to move on to start the CRP process with us.
All right.
We'll get more in the CRP process, but I just want to, because I think we're supposed to end in about 20 minutes. Is that right?
We can stay here till tomorrow, dear Mary. We'll just bring our lunch and dinner and stay here.
Okay, come join me in Turkey too. But thank you, Yvonne, so much for your teaching. Thank you so much for your teaching. It was beautiful. And so just for you all to see, Yvonne had his lesson plan just to share with you. We had the experimentation, the breathing exercise, and the mindfulness exercise, and then the processing. We did a little bit of processing, right? So thank you so much. Yvonne, are you ready to dive into the critical response process?
Sure.
All right. And are you all who are present here today also ready to try it out with me? With us? That'd be great. So the first step of the process, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of explanation and then invite you all to offer and engage with each other, with Yvonne, around this. So it's seeing and sharing meaning. And the skill here is identifying what's meaningful to you. We're focusing on either positive or affirming observations or something that's just really about you. It's not praising Yvonne. It's not about praise. It's about your experience and what touched you in this experience, or what was something that was a meaningful. Or so it's not about critiquing or analyzing. It's really just what landed on you. So there's a few things, suggestions in yellow. You might sort of say what was meaningful or compelling, or when was learning dynamic for you, or what needs were met. So I would love to invite, this is called step ones in our CRP terminology. So I'd love to invite some step ones.
So is that time for me, Amir, to answer the question?
Like to, you can, sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, what's meaningful for me was just the opportunity to do this together in community. So I'm not alone doing a mindfulness practice. So being in a community brought me energy that I'm looking for, that I need. And also the need of being present. I think it's that that was a need unmet today, and I needed to be present. There's a lot of going on in my head, so I needed to be present. And just preparing this and doing the practice brought me to the presence I was looking for, or I needed to.
Thank you for that, Laura.
Go on,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah, so I wrote this in the chat, but one of the things that I was most struck with was in the first part when you were inviting us to relax and then we're breathing. And so you get to a little point of relaxation and then you do some more breathing and you get to an even deeper place of relaxation. And then you do a little more and you get to even more. And so it really focused on the processness of it. And it became for me a super meaningful metaphor of how when we're working with anybody, teachers, students, ourselves, new material, it's all a bit of a stage in that you can take in so much at one point, but if you stop there, then you've finished on a very superficial level. You keep going deeper, so you come back to it and go deeper and deeper, and it affects everything. I mean, it's a wonderful practice, I think, very useful for me.
Thanks, Laura. Maybe invite one or two more comments. What was something that was interesting to you or meaningful to you in this brief 10-minute lesson?
Can I share?
Sure.
So mindfulness is something very new for me, and I feel quite uncomfortable teaching it or doing it with people. It's very new, and I sometimes feel that I'm not being present myself while doing it. And so what was interesting for me to notice is that while Ivan was giving instructions, I was thinking, how could I do it? And how could I do it in my way that made sense to me and that would calm me and bring peace to me? And through that, I could probably find a way to guide people who are doing it with me. So to just find that comfort zone for me, then probably I could do it with others. So that was what's happening in my mind. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Stila. So you're really getting a sense of having like a model that's something that you could connect with. Thank you so much. Let's see. Anybody else like to share something that was meaningful to them or inspiring, or when you felt alive, when you... Okay, let's move on to step 2. So in this step, the teacher, Ivan, is the questioner. He's our guide. And what our role is to listen to him and respond to his questions. And the filter here is what we need to stay on topic. We can't use his question and our answer as a springboard to go into something new. We have to stay focused on just serving Ivan's needs. But what does he want to learn? What does he want to learn about our experience? And so yeah, this is a chance for us to really just support Ivan in his learning through our experience. So Ivan, do you have a question you'd like to ask us?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Great.
I'm curious about my kind of presence, my type of presence, my quality of presence. That's the word I was looking for. My quality of presence when I'm facilitating mindfulness practices. So, and the second question is about my instructions. I'm curious about how I give instructions from beginning to end when we're about to start the practice and we end the practice and while doing the practice. Those are my two questions. Thank you so much.
So you'd like to learn sort of about your presence and how that impacted people, as well as how do they experience the instructions?
Correct. Yes. The impact on has on you, my presence, and how I give instructions. Thank you.
Jaime, I see you unmuted. Would you like to share?
Well, many things to say. First of all, let me say that Roxana wants you here in Piura, Ivan. She says, when are you coming to Piura, Peru? That is the first impact, Ivan. The tone of your voice, the relaxed way you did it, without music. I felt so you were really present here in my house, in my studio. So I guess I said to myself, I would like to be able to do that. So I guess it is a gift. Not everyone can do that. So I really appreciate the presence, your presence. Thank you so much, dear Ivan. Anyone else, please? Just open up your microphone.
Feel free to go ahead, Darcy.
Yes, something that I'm truly grateful for your instructions is that whenever you were given the practice and given instructions, you said, if you get distracted, that's so natural, that's so human. And I immediately stopped judging myself because I realized in the practice, I was like, oh my God, I cannot be present. And then you said that, and I was like, oh, this is so part of the practice. And I felt like liberated, and that helped me connect. That helped me be present when you said that. So I really love that. It was a great reminder of whatever happens is just part of being present as well. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Darcy. Dila?
I was when you were giving instructions and you said at this point you might be wondering and having other thoughts. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I was wondering way before this. After every instruction, I would follow the instruction and then I would start wondering about the instruction and how it would I don't know. I had different thoughts about the instruction. I was reflecting on the instructions while you were giving instructions. So when you said at this point, I'm like, oh my God, I was doing it way early. Something wrong with me? Am I not present? Am I not focused? Am I losing it? Should I work? So I had so many questions what I should be doing to be more present. Thank you.
Raj, would you like?
Sure. Thank you for that, Yvonne. I think, just as has been said before, your voice, it just sort of invites people into that space of giving myself permission to relax. And I know that Jaime suggested not having the music in the background because that's another distraction to pay attention to. You were just inviting us to go step by step into our senses, making the experience real, and you could taste and feel that experience. So again, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Good point. Yeah, right.
Thanks so much. Let's go to step 3. So step 3, well, actually, I should check in with Yvonne first, actually. Yvonne, is there anything you want to elaborate on or anything else you want to know about?
Oh, I got the answer to my questions. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for checking, Mary.
Are you ready for step 3? Okay. So step 3, now our task as responders, people who experienced Yvonne's lesson, would be to ask him questions about his experience teaching. And the idea here is that they are neutral questions or based on genuine curiosity, that there's no judgment embedded in them. And this can be a challenging thing to do, especially in a world where, as Darcy, as you had mentioned earlier in one of the chats, we're so programmed to give opinions or to even hide opinions. Or I kind of grew up in a teacher training tradition where I was trained to, they called it inductive, but the idea was that we were asking questions to lead the teachers to a certain place. And so that's not a genuine question. I have a place I want them to go and I'm trying to get them there. Right? In this context, what we're looking for is just, what are you genuinely curious about? And yeah, so I want to invite those genuinely curious questions, or if you have a question but you don't know how to create it and make it curious, like if you have a judgment and you want to know more about something, feel free to say it if you'd be willing for us to work with it to help take the judgment, and we can craft a question together. We can do that together here if you feel comfortable with that. So I want to invite curiosity to come forth. Laura, thanks. Laura wrote in the chat, those inductive questions can be such traps. They really are. It's such an interesting challenge to. But there's a question here for you, Yvonne. What brought you to these practices?
Yeah, great question. I was thinking about practices that take less than 4 minutes, because we had 5 minutes. Mary said 5 minutes. And when I was looking at the clock, I said, it's 6 minutes now. I said, oh my God. But I wanted to do it the way it is, the way I would facilitate with students and teachers. And I hadn't tested this. I was thinking about, these are the shortest practice. I mean, in terms of time constraints, I was like, this would take 3 and maybe this 4. I think I'm good. So that's why I selected those practices.
Laura, does that answer the question you're thinking about, like why those specific practices? Or was there a,
Well, I love that you took it in that direction. I had, in my mind, I had been thinking, what brought you to these practices in the first place, kind of in general, not so much for this workshop today, but what brought you to this? That's my curious question. How'd you get here?
The mindfulness.
I can also answer that question from that perspective, Laura, is I was thinking about what is one thing I can teach, and I don't need to plan, take long planning. Say one practice, one skill I have that I can teach. Yeah, so that's why we brought mindfulness.
Dila wrote a question. You mentioned earlier that you needed this feeling of being present. How does it help you?
Wow, that's a great question. A lot. I feel presence now, that I feel that I'm here. I can open my eyes and I can see around. I can see things. I can feel my senses are active now and I'm present. So it was a great practice for me too. So thank you.
Sorry, Ivan, can I add on my question?
Go ahead.
Um, like I understand that you're present. How does it, like, where do you go from there? What does it help you to do? Because like someone mentioned earlier, we are so busy, we never actually pay attention to are we present or not. We just try to do things as they come up or as we had planned. But for you to maybe move on with whatever you have planned today, you said you needed this sense of presence. So that's my question. Like, how does this sense of presence help you to go on with your life?
Yeah, I have a couple of hard conversations to have today. And when I open my eyes today, say, oh, no, this is the day I need to have these conversations. And I wasn't present because I wanted to find an answer, how to fix a problem. So how can I do this? But I wasn't present. I was just trying to fix things or solve the problem that is not my problem. But with this practice, a mindfulness practice, I'm present. I don't want to fix now. I don't have the energy of fixing. I just want to just go and be present and see how I can serve and just being present. So it's a great reminder, just be present. You don't have to come and solve any problem or fix anything, just be present.
Questions for Yvonne about the class, the mindfulness class, anything else you're curious about? Or something that you have an opinion about that you think we're here in service of Yvonne's learning. So the questions are here to help support Yvonne in his growth as a teacher. Rosanne, is that a question that you'd like to ask Yvonne? I just want to check in before I work with it. Okay, great. So I'm going to do a little timeout here, a little pause. The question, don't you think time is flying? And when I read that, I hear a lot of judgment. I don't know, but it could, when I hear that, I think, oh, maybe, I don't know if you're thinking that maybe he went too fast or it went too slow. I'm not sure, but when I hear don't you think, I immediately sort of want to stop and say, well, that's a sentence, there's a language construction that's asking me or him to agree with you immediately in judgment around something. So I'd like to work with that question just a little bit, Rosanna, if that's all right. And I'm curious, is the question about how did he experience the time in his class? That might be or could it be, I'm trying to think of a question that's more open. Do you feel that with this technique, we feel we are living for teaching little by little? Yvonne, how do you feel about that question?
I'm trying to understand the question. I think the question is about how we go in life. If with this practice we can bring, but it's about mindfulness. It's not about my
teaching, right? And so I'm thinking like, do you see anything within those, either the don't you think time is flying or in the do you feel the technique, in either of those cases, do you see something that might speak that your experience of teaching, that you notice something in your own experience of teaching? Does something come out of those for you?
Right. Yeah. I can share about my experience with time while doing the practices. I hadn't tested.
Quick time out for saying. The question is, what was your experience of time during the practices?
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. I hadn't tested these two practices. So I was guessing that I can do it in 5 minutes. And after in the first practice, I closed my eyes. I wanted to experience and live it with you. So when I opened my eyes, I saw it was almost 4 minutes, just the first practice. So I was a little bit worried in the second practice. So thoughts of worry came saying you won't be able to do it in 2 minutes. So that was my experience with practice. So I had to deal with myself with thoughts of it's time to stop. When are you going to stop?
Thanks. Thanks. Rosanna, I don't know if that addresses your specific question, but it feels like it did pull out something meaningful for Yvonne, for sure.
Dr. Scholl, Mr. Ivan, sorry, but I have no voice. That's why I am writing.
That's
okay.
All right.
My
That's
question was related that life is flying, okay? Because a minute is like a second or a nanosecond, and life flies. And my question is to Mr. Ivan, do you feel that with mindfulness, with these techniques, we can control that? Are you feeling that?
Roxana.
Okay, I'm just doing a quick timeout as a facilitator who's learning about being a facilitator. I'm a little it sounds like that's more about sort of the content and not really about Yvonne's teaching. So yeah, can we offer that we move that question to a chat later on afterwards? Is that all right?
Yeah, it's a great question, but we can have a conversation around it later on. Yeah.
Yeah. There is one other question. I think we'll have time for one other question in this step for right now. And so how do you decide what order and what instructions to give or the order of them? What's your process of giving instructions? And I just sort of want to highlight that this question is directly linked to Yvonne's curiosity. So it shows me that, like, Dila, in that sense, you're paying attention to what Yvonne is curious about in terms of that. So it's hard to come up with these questions sometimes.
When I plan my activities and practices, I think about the instructions and I have an idea what comes first, second, and last. So I sometimes write them down or just think about and practice and say it loud, find different ideas to, like have them flow and see this makes sense. But then I have one plan, one idea, a series of thoughts on how to do this. And then when I'm doing the practice, things change and I'm flexible with that. So I go with what I'm feeling. If I want to take a pause or a longer pause, or there was a pause and then there's no pause now. And then I go with what I'm experiencing and feeling and noticing in me and in my participants. So I plan, but I go with what I'm experiencing and noticing and feeling, and I go with that.
Great. Thank you, Yvonne. I'm going to move us forward to step 4, just so we can have the experience of step 4 too. I know there's a lot more juicy things that we can ask Yvonne about, including Rosanna's question and Laura's question for sure. But step 4 is permissioned opinions. So here, if you have an opinion about something around Yvonne's teaching, and his art was the class that he just gave us, right? So you have an opinion around it. You would say, I have an opinion about X, whatever it is. Would you like to hear it? So you need to, so I'm curious if anybody has an opinion that you'd like to see if Yvonne will give you permission to share. And it can be a positive opinion, it could be a negative opinion, it could be I have an idea about something that I'd like to share. Would you like to hear it? So the floor is open for step 4. And I might give an example. I have an opinion about the order of the exercises that you chose, Yvonne. Would you like to hear it?
You mean about the first and the second exercise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
So one of the things I experienced was that the first one really grounded me to be ready for the second one. And so I really liked that order, even though I know that it took up some time out of the original amount of time that we decided upon, but the impact was, I felt really grounded. And then that helped me think about the other sensory experiences. So thank you for that. Thanks, Laura. Have a happy holiday. Anybody else? So the question, Darcy, is I have an opinion about X. Would you like to hear it? And you think of the category or something that the topic of your opinion. Such a different construct. We're not used to speaking in this way, right?
Well, Mary, what it brings up for me with Yvonne's instruction is that sometimes I've learned a technique and I'm teaching from the technique, and rather than someone who's learned the practice and is teaching from experience. And I think there's value in both of them, is that when I've learned something new, I'm offering it from the procedural process. When it becomes my own, it's embedded in me, it becomes something that comes out of me rather than.
Can I check in with you for just a second? Are you responding to the sort of people not using this structure yet?
I'm saying overall, the other general questions about how to be with something that we've just learned.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to check in if you were offering an opinion to Yvonne.
That's right.
You are.
Well, yeah. Is that how?
So then can we but preface it with Yvonne, I have an opinion around how we grow an experience. Would you like to hear it?
Perfect.
Do you mind starting again, Raj, and just offering it first and then letting him accept that?
I see. Okay. So this is the process in this particular procedure, is to ask the person, because I thought if the question is on the screen, that the question has already been asked.
Let me take the screen because I don't think it's helpful. The question, what I want you to say to him, we got just sort of practice this is you would say, Yvonne, I have an opinion about whatever it is. Would you like to hear it?
Right. Okay. So Yvonne, do I have your permission to give you a suggestion?
So we need to hear sort of what the topic is so that he has an idea whether it's something he might be interested in.
On the mindfulness practice he just offered.
So I would say, Yvonne, I have an opinion about the mindfulness practice. Would you like to hear it?
Okay.
That's what I'm asking you to use those actual words just to keep it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm to be honest, it feels a bit scripted.
Yeah,
but
it is. Absolutely.
It's a bit scripted to me to say this. So, but I will say it. So, Yvonne, I have some information I want to give to you about the mindfulness practice you just offered. Would you be willing to receive it?
Yes, please, Raj.
Yes. What I experienced is it was a sense of a practice that was coming from you rather than something you had learned and are just offering it to us. It came from you. It was not something that you read somewhere and you were delivering it to us. And I'm open to how you're receiving this.
Thank you, Raj. I received with care and love. And I was, in fact, I was living it, not, like reading it or, just copy and paste it. I was just living it. I just wanted to experience with you all. Thank you for noticing. Yeah.
Thank you, Raj, for letting me script that. There's that particular piece in this step 4 around being very explicit of saying, my opinion is about this topic. Would you like to hear it? And to hear that, to receive that yes, is it builds that sense of agency. And I'm just introducing it as sort of this stage. So I appreciate you letting me work with you and ask you to do that here. Dila?
Sure.
Actually, Mary, I need your help to go through this process.
Sure.
So I have an opinion and I have kind of a reflection on my learning. So how do I, it's like, I haven't formulated clearly what I want to say, but Okay, so I have an opinion on my learning through the process of doing this activity. So now what is the script?
Then would you like to hear it? That's all. Just ask Yvonne if you'd like to hear
Okay,
it.
so Yvonne, I have an opinion about my learning through these presence activities. Do I have your permission to share it with you?
Yeah, Dila, please. And Mary, I would like to also share. My understanding is I can also say no.
Yes, you can also send it.
I have enough. I'm okay. I'm
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. Thank you for actually, and you know
Yeah.
what, Yvonne, my role as a facilitator is to remind you of that. So thank you for reminding me of my role.
But yeah, this time, yes, Dila, please go.
Okay, thank you. So when I ask you a question about you planning and then delivering these activities, um, you said that you follow your emotions, how you feel during the class. And to me, I had right away connected it to the way I teach, and maybe most of us teach. We plan a lesson, but then we come to a class and it goes as it goes. It's not always how we planned it to go, time, management, all that stuff, right? So it goes as it goes, how we feel, how our students feel. So, and it felt um, oh, like if you think about novice teacher and experienced teacher, I would think of myself like when I go to my classes, I know I have this flexibility, but when I'm trying something new, I'm very like, it's, I think, more related to what Raj was mentioning. It's kind of scripted and I have to stick to the technique. So that was my learning and I guess insight into this experience. So thank you so much.
Okay, I want to bring this feedback conversation, this CRP feedback conversation with Yvonne to a close for right now by asking Yvonne, oh, yeah, Darcy. So I'm sorry, Darcy. I'm gonna move forward for right now, but I appreciate that you put the comment in. Yvonne, I'm just curious, what are you taking from this experience of teaching and receiving feedback?
Well, I said earlier that one thing that I'm from the practice is that I'm present now. Practice mindfulness brought me presence to what I need, meeting some of my needs. And the feedback at CRP process, feedback, it was beautiful to see and hear how you experience the 8-minute practice. It was beautiful to see that. And I was really curious about my kind of presence when I'm facilitating mindfulness. So that was beautiful for me to hear from you. So thank you for the opportunity to be seen and heard and the feedback and your opinions too. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Ivan.
Okay, and Jaime, we'll finish up in 10 minutes if that's all right. We'll be all
Yeah,
almost.
that's okay, dear Mary. Your wishes are my commands.
Thank you. And those that can stay, wonderful. And those that need to leave, that's okay too.
So in 10 minutes, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just going to do the follow-up right now to the CRP process that we experienced with Yvonne. So in this workshop, we talked a little bit about our experiences with feedback. And I introduced the idea of the critical response process designed by Liz Lerman. And then we had a little experience of it. To close, I'd like to facilitate my own feedback on this experience, on the experience of this workshop or this session. And so I'm just going to put up this one slide here. So now in this particular, these last maybe 5 minutes, we won't go through the whole thing, probably. But I'm curious for you in the last hour and a half of your life. So what was meaningful to you in learning about critical response process? So maybe we'll start just with the first question. What was meaningful to you? What did you get from it, or what was interesting? Darcy writes. Darcy wrote, retraining your brain. And Dila wrote, it's amazing that I did not feel like we were going through giving feedback and Yvonne receiving it. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Dila?
Yeah, it's when you said at the end, like giving feedback, we went through the process. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we were giving feedback, but it didn't feel like, because again, our previous experience, as you mentioned, it's vertical. So we come from if we're receiving feedback, we're at the bottom, someone is giving it to us, and we just have to deal with it, right? Or if we are giving, then we come with this mindset of that we have to take that person to certain, I don't know, realization, or make them feel certain way, and make them make changes that we want them to make. While here, I didn't even feel that. Well, first of all, I never felt like I am this experienced person who needs to give my expertise. It was the way it was conducted. It was coming from the place of curiosity, genuine inquiry, and also providing something that Ivan asked for, not something that I thought he needs to know. So, and it was done in the way that I forgot that we're doing receiving and giving feedback. So very, very, I don't know, I find it inspiring, and when I wrote, I'm excited. I always feel when I learn something new, I feel excited to go and try it.
Yeah, let's try it on our English courses.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dila. And Darcy, you wrote retraining your brain. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that if you feel like it?
Yes. Well, I wrote in the chat, it's so difficult for me when I think about, my circles and everything. We're so used to giving opinions without people wanting them. And I feel that I just noticed with this practice that I give a lot of opinions, and sometimes without people asking those opinions. So I really like this because it becomes meaningful, really meaningful for people and for me. Like, this is what I want to receive, and it gives a lot of clarity on what I truly want to receive from my heart, and really listening to what people really wants to receive from their heart, just to be present to each other. So I really loved the opportunity to really learn this new tool and retrain my brain, because I'm programmed to give and receive opinions that I don't want and that people don't want. So it was truly meaningful. Yes. Thank you so much.
And then I think we're going to stop it. Well, no, I'm going to ask one exploratory question. I'm curious about what you're taking away from this experience of this critical response process. And what in this kind of what's settled maybe in your brain? Is there something that's settled in your heart? Maybe that's my question. And Raj, I see you've unmuted. Would you like to share something?
Well, I just have one question about what Yvonne mentioned, that say I have an opinion and I ask Yvonne if he wants it and he says no. I think I'm curious about, it's helpful if you let the person know what's behind the no. If you say, no, I'm not, I thought you asked opinions were okay. Now you're saying no. So, it might be that, yes, can we talk after the session? Or is this something you can hold on to and give it to me later, the opinion? But, just saying no doesn't seem that comfortable.
Yeah. And that's part of the process of learning to just accept a no. I mean, I think in a nice relationship, I might say no because my brain is full. No, I'm not interested in that topic. You can choose. But the idea here is that that we honor the creator's right to say no. We don't have to force our ideas on them. So and it's something interesting that Adila said too. You said you felt like you were trying to say things that fell in the category of what you knew Yvonne was interested in. That doesn't mean you can't give an opinion outside of Yvonne's chosen questions. But then Raj, I think I love that you're mentioning the discomfort, because this, to me, this fourth step, I feel like all of the steps in the critical response process help us retrain our brain, as to use Darcy's word, and hearts, really. Because I need to learn to notice what's meaningful. I need to learn to, as a teacher, I have to figure out, what am I truly curious about? And we don't usually ask teachers that. We don't ask them. Where we focus on is the check, did the checklist sort of thing. And the fourth one, what we need to learn is to offer, and that's why I was pushing to be formulaic, because I have an opinion about X. Would you like to hear it? Very specifically, I want to know if you would like to hear it. And if you say no, it's okay. And so it's not the fourth step is not anybody can give an opinion at that point. It's anybody can request Yvonne if he'd like to hear their opinion. Very clearly. And it's all about keeping the agency, the power for the teacher in their lap, that we're not putting ourselves on top of them in that to have to receive. So yeah, it's a different energy. So
something to mull over a bit more.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and in power over dynamics, then I definitely feel like I should say I can and I should, and my job is to tell you my opinion all the time. And in this, it's striving for a more horizontal relationship, and it's different than I experienced in growing up in my world.
Well, I think one last thing I'll say is it might be that relationship say between Yvonne and me might be a little bit controversial. So if Raj says, "Can I give you this?" and you say no, it could be because of the association between Yvonne and me.
Absolutely. And it could be, the power of one of the things we did in our 4-day intensive in the beginning of the certification course was to go around the room and practice saying no. Like, we would just ask, I have an opinion about your clothing. Would you like to hear it? No. I have an opinion about the weather. Would you like to hear it? No. Then we practice going around and saying no, and why. No, I don't want anyone to hear about the weather because the weather doesn't interest me. And then we practice saying yes, but with a caveat. Yes, but only if you're going to talk about good weather. And then yes, just tell me what you want. So practicing having a range of responses is also helpful, for sure. But today was just sort of a little introduction. So thank you all so much. I hope that whatever you're taking from today, it leads to flowers blooming and balloons flying. And I also close here with a couple of Liz Lerman quotes that we're all a work in progress. We co-create our learning environments. Nothing is too small to notice. And when defensiveness starts, learning stops. Right? And so how can we just turn our discomfort into inquiry and curiosity? So thank you all so much. Jaime, thank you so much for your invitation to be here with you all. I so appreciate it. Thank you, everybody on Facebook. I had kind of lost track of the Facebook conversation. I'll go back and leave some comments later.
Thank you, dear Mary, for this time on a Sunday afternoon for you. We know that you are working in Turkey, as you say, they say now, not Turkey, but Turkey. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, everyone. I've been silent because I was reflecting. I was remembering those times in your place. And I was really curious, Yvonne, if living in the place where Mary lives and works has helped you to change the way, I guess you mentioned that, but I was thinking, well, I am one of those privileged human beings who have been in your place, Mary, and I recommend everyone to go to Costa Rica and INFU and the Institute for Learning with Mary Scholl and learn from her and all the people who work there, the people who cook the meals, the people who clean the place, the people who drives the car. Oh my God, learning everywhere. So before your final words, my dear, final words today in this presentation, dear Mary, let me share with everyone that our next webinar will be on May the 18th, and we will have Eva Ramos from Oteima University, Oderay Quijada from IPT, University of Panama, sorry, and Zuleika Zapateiro from the Ministry of Education, Universidad Latina. And also, let me show you something, dear Mary and everyone. Let me see if I can do it or not. Sorry, very quick. Somebody from Peru also wanted to be present.
Hi, hello Mary. Well, this is just to say how grateful and thankful I am to you because all the things you have taught us and because you have really shown that we should keep on learning, and just to say how great you are. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, dear Julio, and always grateful to you, dear Mary, always. I have to say now, you changed my life, you changed my points of view, everything. And I learned so much from losing my suitcase for 1 week, remember?
It was a great loss.
It was a great loss. So this is, thank you everyone. And your final words today, dear Mary, in this presentation.
Well, the arrival of the suitcase too.
Yes. In the afternoon, after lunch, having classes.
That's right. Well, I just want to thank I thought I need to thank Yvonne. Thank you, Yvonne, for being willing to teach all of us and to be part in this critical response process. And thank you all for diving in. Dila and Raj, Laura and Dawn were really participatory, and everybody who was here, thank you for being here. I'm curious about the people that how they feel, the people that didn't do so much participation, which is fine. I'm just curious about how their experience was. And if you're interested in learning more about the critical response process, you can contact me. You can also contact or look online. There's a lot of interesting.
Or visit you in your place.
Or visit me in my place where we're going to have
plenty of space, a river, even a river.
That's right. But thank you all so much. And this is part of one of my assignments. So I'll be turning this video in for my mentors to have a look. And also Yvonne, you helped me remember some of my roles as a facilitator. That was really nice. I appreciate that. It felt like it was a group effort, you guys. I appreciate that. And thank you for the love. Oh my gosh, I feel so grateful. I feel so touched.
You deserve it, Mary. You deserve it.
Yeah, we all
okay.
do.
So thank you, everyone. Dear Raj, Dila, Ivan, Mary, Esperanza, Carolina, Alba, Carola, Jenny, Cesar Rivero, Rosana, Eliberto, Jocelyn, Guadalupe, Glenda, and everyone. See you on May the 18th, I guess it was. See you, everyone. Have a good Sunday. See you soon anywhere in the world. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 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 Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.